Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders, and welcome back to Peaks Peak. Today we're in the shop because we got another new toy that's going to help us out with the cabin. So guys, I have kind of been keeping my eye out for a log splitter for a while. And because we don't heat our house with wood, and I'm not necessarily trying to start a firewood business or anything like that, I didn't want to spend a bunch of money. I didn't want to go buy a new log splitter. But I wanted to be able to split all the wood that I have so that we can use it in the cabin, because we've got a lot of wood saved up that is seasoned, but it's been sitting in rounds for a while and it's too big to burn in our wood stove in our cabin. Today, I was scrolling through Marketplace, riding along in the car, and I found this log splitter on Marketplace for a pretty affordable price, about half what it would cost new. And I felt like that was a good enough deal for me. It was within 30 minutes of the house, so it made it easy for me to go get this afternoon. I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. This log splitter, it's a Troy build, 27-ton log splitter. It's got a Honda engine on it from what I understand, but it's lived outside its whole life. So looks a little faded, doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the workings of it. The thing fired right up, split some oak rounds real quick while we were there. Looked like it did a good job, so no real issues with it. But I'm kind of going to spruce it up, make it look a little better, make me feel a little bit better about what I paid for it, and then we're going to put this thing to work. Okay, so we got her spruced up pretty good, shining a little bit. We did the whole Craigslist fix up and took the torch to the fenders and took the oxidization off of them temporarily and made it look halfway decent. At this point, I'm kind of sitting here staring at it, wondering if one, do I want to paint the fenders? And two, do I want tables on the side of this? Am I going to use it vertically more often because it will stand up? Or should I build me a table so that when I'm splitting, I can slide, you know, logs on over to it or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to decide. I may look at some pictures online, see what people have on theirs and kind of go from there. But I have some nice diamond plate steel over there that, you know, I could take the plasma cutter and cut me out a sheet of it and weld up something to mount on those brackets that are there. The brackets are all bent up, so I probably will take those off and straighten them out back to the way that they need to be. But I'm gonna think about it for a minute, see what I come up with. All right guys, now I have to take a time out here for just a second because I took this bracket off of here and I'm gonna fabricate me a table for this one side. And I was kind of brainstorming, you know, how I'm going to go about doing that and all that. And I just got a major wake-up call. And most of you that watch me know I'm not the most safety-conscious operator there ever was. When I do things, a lot of times I'll joke about wearing my safety squints. And, you know, I'm kind of always into a little bit too big of a hurry, a rush around. But I've been trying to do better. Part of that is, you know, I have a YouTube channel, a lot of people watch, and I don't want to set a bad example and see somebody else get hurt because they're thinking, well, you know, it's no big deal because other people operate without safety glasses or hearing protection or whatever. And you know, I'll probably never go overboard with that, but I've been trying to do better. And actually, even have a brand new box of safety glasses over there, lots of them to choose from. Crack open a new pack, put them on. I can see crystal clear. But I'll tell you, I was drilling a quick hole in the side of this beam because one of the bolts was broke off, and I was drilling it out so I could put a new bolt in. And the drill bit caught, and it's one of those hardened, rigid drill bits, and it shattered. And when it shattered, several pieces hit me in the face, and one hit me right in the eyelid. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a little bit bruised. And I mean, it hit me hard enough that it hurt my eyeball. I got my eye closed, so I'm okay. But it really scared me, mainly because it was stupid. I have them right there. they're not gonna do you any good if they're wrapped up in a package in a box on the shelf. For those of you who are tempted to chime in about safety this or safety that, hey, I may not always like it, but I do appreciate it because it makes me stop and think, especially if it's something that I've not really considered, and so I haven't stopped and thought it all the way through. I mean, you just don't think of everything, but man, all it takes is one time. I sure would hate to lose an eye. Anyway, I just wanted to share that because that's how quick it can happen, and it really did scare me. So I got to do better. I'm gonna try. All right, so I kind of have a piece of scrap angle iron frame that actually I think our lift came on it, I'm not sure, but we've had it out in the scrap pile. And part of it is almost exactly the size that I need. So I'm gonna take the plasma cutter and cut off the sections I don't need, and probably weld in a patch where I do need it, and we'll have us a mounting plate to put our diamond plate steel on, and we'll have us a table. Going to basically take this plate and mount it on here, and I'll finish out the square here, but I want it to cover the engine mostly. Grinders and paint make me the welder I ain't. There we go. All right, let's see what we got here. That's about a perfect fit for that. So we'll fill in a bracket across here, and then straight down below we'll put us a leg extending up to here for support, so that it doesn't, all the weight of the log is not out here bending the table down. I think it's gonna work. All right, well, in about a little over an hour, I'm this far along, and what I've decided, I think I've got a decent idea here, because I'm gonna put a leg on the outer part of this table here. I thought about putting an angle brace back to the beam, but it would be a really steep angle, and I don't know how much support that would give to this. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna put a leg on it, and I'm gonna need a rubber pad or something for the bottom of it, and I'm gonna have it sit right on this, well, this like axle for the whole system is also the hydraulic fluid tank. And I'm assuming it's pretty stout, but I want something with a pretty good size footprint. That way I'm not putting a lot of stress on one specific part. So, but the way that this is set up, I'm gonna be able to put a leg straight down flat onto the top of this and put a little rubber pad or something on it, and I'll have support for this. But when I stand the thing up, then it won't be connected to anything to where it's in the way when I wanna go to tip it up. So I think that will work out well. We're gonna find out. Worst case scenario, this whole thing's scrap and I have to take the top of this plate back off and just use it the way that it came from the factory. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm gonna quit for tonight, go ahead and get cleaned up, and I'll come back at it tomorrow. think we move this out to the sidewalk. It's gonna be nasty in here if we don't. How many of you does it drive nuts to see me work like this? Because when we get into a project, it just explodes. And usually we have 2 or 3 explosions going on at the same time. So that's what we got going on. And now we have a project within a project because, well, my cord shorted out. So I had to open up the grinder. I'm gonna cut it off where we had our short and resplice it or reconnect it inside the grinder and get back to work. I've said it before, I've got some go for it in me, and that is in a lot of aspects. And sometimes my willingness to commit causes me a lot of extra work. And I'm hoping that's not what's happening with this, because at this point, we are committed to this table being mounted exactly how it is, because I drilled out and put some new bolts in this beam so that I could use this bracket but still have this removable. And when I went to put it back on this last time after test fitting, the bolt stripped out. And I'm not gonna just keep going bigger and bigger. So I kind of went over, made sure that everything seemed to be where I wanted it, and I just welded the bracket to the beam. And we're gonna go for it. We got her knocked out, and I am really happy with how it turned out. So I'll kind of give you a walkthrough of the design. I used the kind of log rest that was already there to build my frame on top of it. And then I put my plate steel little box welded on top of that. But that's a lot of extra weight hanging out here that if you're gonna be putting heavy logs on it, it needs some extra support rather than just using those stamped steel brackets that they had mounted on there. So I put me a foot underneath this to where it rests all the way down on the main structure of the log splitter, the hydraulic tank basically. But on that foot, I'd actually just used a round pulley that I could weld onto a cut off piece of tie rod end off of my old Dodge truck. And then I took an old tire and cut me out a rubber pad to mount on the bottom of it so that it'll rest on that and not wear on the metal. I'm real happy with how that worked out because it needed support, but I also need to be able to flip it up when I want to. And so with that, it flips up just fine. All that works great. And the foot ends up not being in the way because it's at the level. When you pivot this up, it's pretty much right at the level of the motor back there. So it's not like sticking out in the way where you're gonna walk or anything like that. So overall, I'm real happy with the design and I think it's gonna be very useful. I was debating whether to put any kind of lip on this, and part of the reason I wanted to is because I just didn't want this plate steel sticking out where you could walk into it. It's not sharp, and I rounded the edges off and everything, but I decided if I put a lip on it, then it would keep me from, you know, rolling logs off of the other side of it and all that. But I left one end open. That way, as I'm splitting, if I need to, you know, I can push logs out the other side. Not to mention, they have space to kind of split outward, you know, if they blow out or whatever, and it won't tear up my table. So, yeah, I'm real thrilled with it. Tomorrow morning, I'm hoping we have halfway decent weather, as long as it's not raining, basically. I'm going to tow this thing up the hill to the wood pile and split a few rounds before I have to get busy with some other stuff. What are your thoughts on the wood splitter?
It's really nice.
It is really nice, isn't it? And what has it done for you so far?
Made me have to work.
Make a lot of work, that's right. I'm thoroughly impressed with this splitter. I've put some really gnarly stuff on there and bog it down just a little bit, but it's busted everything I put on there so far. And I will also say, this table was the move. The table makes all the difference. I mean, I've never used a log splitter. I mean, I've used it a few times when I was growing up. My dad had one, you know, done a little bit, but I've never actually owned a log splitter and split my own wood. But I remembered my dad's had a table on it and it was pretty handy, but I didn't remember exactly why until I started splitting. I remembered immediately that, you know, you split it in half, you set one half aside, and where I put those lips on there, I can just fling it over there and it won't fall off the table, and it's there ready to go.
Yeah, Dad, you just go.
The height seems to be working perfect. I'm loving everything about it so far. We'll keep you posted on how this is going, but Caden wants to take a little break. We've got a fire going in the cabin in there, so I'm gonna sit down and drink my coffee, maybe play a round of slapjack or war. We're gonna play war or slapjack?
Sloopy Jukey.
Sloopy Jukey? You're weird. But then we're going to clean up this mess and try to run the splitter out of gas. That's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We appreciate y'all watching. Hey, don't forget, get outside and enjoy God's creation. It's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.